The liver is the second largest organ of the body. The largest organ is the skin, meaning that the liver then is the largest internal organ of the body. At rest, about a quarter of the cardiac output, the blood leaving the left ventricle, travels to the liver. Most cells of the liver are exposed to fluid coming from blood through these sinusoid capillaries, which fill the lobules of the liver from two different sides. So there is a great exposure to blood by the hepatocytes, and they make a number of hormones which then can diffuse into the blood. So the liver, the body's second largest organ, is also an endocrine organ. The liver produces the hormone insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. This hormone promotes growth as a mediator of the action of growth hormone. This hormone affects almost every cell in the body, especially cells in bone, cartilage, and muscle. The anterior pituitary's release of growth hormone then stimulates the liver to produce IGF-1, and while low levels of IGF-1 increase risk of cardiovascular disease, high levels can increase risk of cancer. The liver produces thrombopoietin, a hormone which then stimulates the stem cells in bone marrow to differentiate into megakaryocytes and produce platelets. Since platelets possess receptors for thrombopoietin, high levels of platelets in the blood will prevent the hormone from reaching the bone marrow since platelets bind it. This helps then regulate the production of platelets. Thrombopoietin also functions in brain development. Liver cells produce the prohormone angiotensinogen. This is converted into angiotensin 1 by renin, which is secreted by the kidneys, and angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2 by an enzyme in the lungs, ACE, the angiotensin converting enzyme. Angiotensin then affects blood pressure. It increases ADH and aldosterone secretion, which will increase fluid reabsorption at the kidneys. And angiotensin is known to function as an endocrine hormone, a paracrine hormone, which affects neighboring cells, an autocrine hormone, which affects the cells that made it after being secreted from the cell, and even an intracrine hormone, which binds to receptors inside the cell that made it without being secreted. Vitamin D, also known as calcifediol, reaches the liver, and the liver converts it into its active hormonal form, calcidiol, which then regulates calcium levels. The liver makes the hormone hepcidin, which regulates iron levels by decreasing the kidney absorption of iron. It also regulates iron absorption by macrophages. Low levels of hepcidin result in high blood iron levels. A number of hormones released by the liver are collectively known as hepatokines. Some of these are still being actively investigated for their roles, particularly in metabolism and susceptibility to diabetes. Phytuin A is involved in inflammation and insulin resistance. Phytuin B, insulin function and regulating blood glucose levels. What was formerly known as beta-tropin is suspected to affect the proliferation of the cells of the pancreas which make insulin. Fibroblast growth factor 21 affects insulin function. Adropin affects metabolism and estrogen function, and ANGPTL4 regulates the breakdown of lipids in adipose tissue. Not only does the liver make hormones, it also then is involved in regulating hormones made elsewhere. For example, it can convert the thyroid hormone T4 into the form T3. The liver can break down hormones so that they aren't active after the desired function has been achieved. So the liver can metabolize thyroid hormones, glucagon-like peptide 1, sex hormones like estrogen and testosterone, glucocorticoids, and mineralocorticoids. The liver also then produces proteins which transport many nonpolar hormones in blood plasma. So, in other words, estrogen and testosterone wouldn't be effective if they can't reach tissues, and these nonpolar hormones can't reach tissues unless there is a protein in the blood that can bind them and transport them. So sex hormones, glucocorticoids, mineralocorticoids, thyroid hormones, and forms of vitamin D are all require binding proteins made by the liver to transport them.